6 years ago, a man drove up my gravel past Sourwood Gap in a truck that cost more than my whole homestead, and he had a kit in the bed worth $2,000. Freeze-dried buckets stacked to the tailgate, a water filter the size of a beer keg, still wrapped in plastic, a solar generator he had never once taken out of the box to test. He told me, standing right there in my driveway, that he was ready for anything the mountain could throw at him. 3 days later, the power was out. The road was mud to the axle, and he was standing on my porch in the rain, asking to borrow a lighter, because the $12 torch lighter in his kit wouldn't catch in the wind, not even once. He didn't fail because he didn't spend enough money. Plenty of men spend more than that on a truck alone. He failed because somebody sold him a box full of parts and never once sold him a single habit to go with it. Tonight, I'm counting down 20 habits my family has run on this mountain for 5 generations, and every single one of them will outlast every item sitting in that man's truck bed. Number 3 on this list is the exact reason his water filter was already dead by the second day of rain. Number 1 isn't a habit at all, and I promise you, it's the only thing on this entire countdown that you can't buy at any price, in any store, on any day of the year. My name is Amos Walker. I live past the end of the maintained road above Marshall, North Carolina, in a holler my people have worked since before this county had a courthouse to record the deed in. No cell signal past the gate, no mail delivery, and I wouldn't trade it for a house in town with both of those things. My grandfather, Pawpaw Dillard, put my hand on the handle of his splitting axe when I was 9 years old, out behind the smokehouse, and made me spit in my own palm and shake on a promise that I would never let a single season pass without doing every one of these 20 things with my own 2 hands, so that they would still be living in my hands long after his were still. This isn't a fear channel, and I'm not selling collapse. This is me keeping that promise, one countdown at a time, in front of anybody who cares to listen. Here's the plain truth about a $2,000 prepper kit, and I want to say it once, clean, before we start. It isn't a foolish idea. It's an unfinished one. Every single item sitting in that box has a shelf life, a battery, or a filter cartridge stamped somewhere on it. And every one of those things runs out on a calendar that somebody in a warehouse wrote, not you. A habit doesn't have a calendar. A habit doesn't go on back order. Let's start counting. Comment below if you've got an old kit like that, sitting in your own garage, basement, or closet. Freeze-dried buckets, a solar generator still in the box, anything collecting dust. Tell me what's in it, and I'll tell you which of these 20 habits would have saved that man 3 days of rain on my porch. Number 20. Most battery lanterns in a bundled kit are rated for around 40 hours of light before the batteries are dead weight, and 40 hours is one bad week, not a real emergency. My people never once let full dark catch this house without light, because every fall we render tallow off the hogs and dip our own candles by hand, a whole season's worth in one long evening, and a box of them costs less than 1 pack of name brand lithium batteries, and doesn't care one bit whether the store down the mountain is open or closed or gone. That was the lantern that dies on a Tuesday. The next one is the filter that dies on a Wednesday. Number 19, a name brand gravity water filter runs close to $300, and the cartridge sealed inside it is only rated for about 6,000 gallons before it has to be replaced with a part that ships from a warehouse 2 states away. My spring has been boxed in hand-laid stone since before my great-grandfather's time, gravity fed the whole way down the hill, filtering itself through solid rock without a single moving part, and it has never once in living memory needed a replacement anything. That was water that runs out on you. The next one is heat that runs out on you too. Number 18. A portable propane heater will keep one small room barely warm for about 5 hours on a single canister, and a case of those canisters runs near $60 and eats up a whole shelf in the garage doing it. My wood stove has heated this entire house through 80 winters on wood. I cut off my own hillside, and the only part that has ever needed replacing on it is a single gasket, at one time back in 1994. That was warmth that needs a delivery truck. The next one is warmth that never needed a truck to begin with. Number 17. A generator sitting in a $2,000 kit needs gasoline to run, and gasoline goes stale in about 6 months unless a man remembers to treat it every single time, and most men don't remember. I keep 3 full cords split, stacked, and covered before the very first frost, every single year without fail, and dry wood doesn't go stale sitting in the weather. It only gets better with age. That was fuel with an expiration date stamped right on it. The next one has an expiration date stamped on it too. Number 16. A 4-week freeze-dried food bucket runs about $350, and it feeds one man for 1 month, one single time, and then that bucket is gone forever, empty plastic taking up space. My root cellar is dug 6 feet straight into the hillside, where the ground never freezes and never climbs past 60 degrees, even in July, and it has been feeding this family potatoes, apples, and winter squash every single year since it was dug out by hand back in the 1800s. It has never once needed restocking from any warehouse, anywhere. Notice something, friend, before we go any further. Every single item so far wasn't banned, wasn't outlawed, wasn't taken away from anybody by force. It was simply replaced, quietly, with a subscription. That's the pattern underneath this whole countdown, and it doesn't get one bit less true from here to the end. 14 habits are still ahead of us, and the 2 that matter most of all are still coming. Keep counting with me. Number 15. Canned goods bought for a kit are stamped with a date, and past that date, a company tells you, out of pure caution and nothing else, to throw perfectly good food straight into a landfill. My grandmother canned close to 400 jars a year off this land in her time, green beans and tomatoes and apple butter, sealed in a rolling boiling water bath the exact same way her own mother taught her, and we're still eating out of jars sealed 6 years back because a proper seal doesn't know or care what a calendar says. Number 14. A first aid kit bundled into a $2,000 package has ointments that lose most of their strength in about 18 months. Sitting sealed in a plastic bin in a closet. My kitchen windowsill keeps yarrow for bleeding, plantain for stings, and comfrey for bruises. Growing wild, not 4 steps outside my own back door, and none of it has an expiration date, because none of it was ever manufactured to have one in the first place. Number 13. A bug-out bag is packed for a road that may already be washed clean out by the time the man actually needs it. I have walked every single ridge and hollow within 6 miles of this house since I was a barefoot boy, and I don't need a paper map or a charged battery to find clean water, real shelter, or a way down off this mountain in pitch dark. That was a filter with the manufacturer's part number stamped on it. The next one is a knife with a part number stamped on it too. Number 12. A survival knife pulled from a catalog runs near $80, and the edge is gone after just one hard season of real use, because it was built to photograph well, not to work well. My grandfather's own hunting knife has been resharpened on the same worn whetstone for 60 straight years, and a good honest blade paired with a stone costs less than 1 tank of gas and never once needs replacing, only tending the way a man tends anything worth keeping. Number 11. A solar generator promises a man power straight through a blackout, but it needs 3 genuinely clear days to charge all the way full, and these mountains of fog in solid for a week at a stretch every single November, blocking that sun out completely. My hand pump on the well works in dense fog, works at midnight, works in a full blizzard, with no battery inside it, and no sun required at all. Number 10. Bottled water bought by the pallet runs about $6 a case and swallows up half a garage doing it, and the plastic itself starts breaking down and leaching into the water sitting inside it after just a couple years on a shelf. My cistern catches rainwater straight off this roof into a covered stone tank that has held water fit to drink since the day it was built, and it has never once in its whole life needed to be hauled up this mountain on a truck. Number 9. A stockpile of canned meat and protein bars is heavy to carry, expensive to buy, and simply gone the day the last can is opened. I keep 6 hens and 1 milk goat penned out back, and they don't run out, ever, because they keep making more of themselves without being asked. That's not a kit sitting on a shelf. That's a whole system that feeds itself, season after season, for free. Number 8. A vacuum-sealed emergency meat pouch runs about $12 for 8 ounces, and it's stamped with a shelf life measured in a few years, not in generations. My smokehouse has cured hams the exact same way since long before refrigeration existed at all, using nothing but salt and smoke and patient time, and a properly cured ham will genuinely outlast the man who first hung it up there. Nobody outlawed the smokehouse, friend. They just sold you a foil pouch instead and let the real smokehouse rot quietly out back where nobody was using it anymore. Number 7. This next one isn't sold in any kit at all because nobody has ever found a way to fit it neatly in a box. A synthetic base layer pulled from a survival catalog wears clean through the elbow in one hard season on the trail. My grandmother's quilts are pieced together from 40-year-old flannel shirts that wore through at that exact same elbow, and a good quilt doesn't wear out from use. It only gets heavier and warmer with every single thing that gets added onto it. Number 6. A weather radio tucked into a kit runs on batteries that go dead quietly in a drawer while nobody is looking. I read the sky the same way my father read it, and his own father before him. A hard ring around the moon, the pale underside of a leaf turned up in the wind, the way cattle bunch up tight and turn their backs to a storm long before it ever shows up on any screen. That's not old folklore, friend. That's 40 generations of people who never once owned a radio and never once died from not owning one. We're well past the halfway mark now, friend, and I want you to notice the true shape of everything we've covered so far. It's almost never the object itself that fails a man at the worst possible moment. It's that the object was never built, not for one single day, to outlast the season it got sold to him in. Hold on to that thought. 5 habits remain, and number 3, the one I promised you clear back at the top of this video, is coming up next. If you're finding this useful and you don't want to miss the next countdown, hit subscribe. It's the only way to make sure you catch it before winter tests every single habit on this mountain again. Number 5. A gas mask and a case of N95 masks sit folded in a kit for a threat that may never once actually arrive, taking up space and slowly going brittle inside sealed plastic. My root cellar and my cistern together mean I genuinely never have to step foot outside during whatever emergency is bad enough to need a mask in the first place. The best defense a man can have was never strapped to his face to begin with. It was already built straight into the ground under his own 2 feet. Number 4. A toolkit pulled from a mail order catalog is full of stamped sheet steel that bends the second time a man leans his real weight on it. My grandfather taught me to keep every single tool sharp, oiled, and hung on its own dedicated nail in the shed, so that an axe, a froe, or a draw knife from his own father's time is still true and straight today. 60 years and 3 whole generations later, a tool that's properly cared for doesn't carry a replacement date stamped on it anywhere. It carries an inheritance date instead. Number 3. Here it's friend, the one I promised you at the very start of this countdown. That same $300 filter cartridge I mentioned earlier doesn't just quietly run dry on some fixed calendar. It clogs and dies fastest in exactly the kind of muddy, storm-churned water that a real emergency actually produces on the very day a man needs it most. My spring has never once clogged in all these years, because solid stone simply doesn't clog, and it was already filtering clean water for my family long before that filter company had even been founded. 2 habits left now, friend, and I need you to hear this next one plain, because it's not a product and it's not a trick, and it's the exact reason a $2,000 kit and a mountain family both end up standing in the same kind of kitchen at the end of a genuinely hard week, except only one of them is standing there scared. Number 2, a kit is built start to finish for one single man to survive completely alone. My neighbor 2 hollers over keeps bees on his back 40. I keep a garden big enough to feed 3 separate families every summer. We have traded honey for squash between our 2 places since before either one of us could legally drive a truck, and when his barn roof tore clean off in a windstorm 4 years back. 6 of us had it recovered by hand in a single day, and not one invoice ever changed hands between us. Nobody sells that in a box, friend, because it can't be shipped in one. It has to be built, one honest neighbor at a time, over years, long before the day a man actually needs it. Number 1 isn't a habit at all, and it's not for sale at any price, in any kit, from any company on this earth. It's the decision, made fresh every single season, to hand every one of these 19 things down to somebody younger than you, before your own hands stop being able to do the work. That $2,000 kit dies for good the same day the man who bought it does. What my grandfather handed down to me doesn't die with me, because I already handed half of it to my own boy this past spring, right here on this same porch, with his small hand set on the very same axe handle mine was on 40 years before. That's not a survival strategy, friend. That's sovereignty, plain and simple, and it was never something a man could buy off any shelf. It was only ever something someone older than him chose, on purpose, to pass all the way down. That same man who drove up my gravel with the $2,000 kit still comes by every so often. He doesn't bring the kit with him anymore. These days, he brings an old handsaw instead, and he asks me to show him, one more time, how to keep a true edge on it. That's not on him, friend, that he didn't know any of this before he showed up on my porch that first rainy night. Nobody ever sat him down and made him spit in his own palm and shake on a promise. Somebody, somewhere back down his line, simply didn't get the chance to hand it down to him. That's exactly what I'm here for, and it's what this whole channel has always been for. So here's what I'm asking you tonight, and it won't cost you one single dime. Somewhere in your own family, right now, there's a habit like one of the 20 I just handed you, something your grandmother did quietly in her own kitchen, or your grandfather did with his own 2 hands, that nobody in your family writes down anymore. Put it in the comments below this video. Tell me where you're from, and tell me exactly what it was. I read every single one myself, friend, and I promise you, the very next family that needs it might be reading right alongside you tonight. Keep the old ways, friend. They kept us alive a long time before any of this, and they'll keep the ones who come after you too, if you let them. Now go split some wood before dark catches you. If you found this useful, subscribe so you don't miss the next countdown. We cover this kind of thing regularly, and there's a lot more where this came from. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 20 habits your own family still keeps.